people are not understanding the reality of what's happening in Samoa. And I don't know that you can, unless you have been there. When people are using the situation in Samoa to justify mass vaccination mandates worldwide, or even vaccination mandates in Samoa, these things are not based in an accurate understanding of what Samoa is really like. And without that grounding in reality, we can't make accurate conclusions about what is happening. I wrote about 5 major points that I wanted everybody to know about what's happening in Samoa, or just Samoa in general. Measles virus is alive inside of the vial, and when you inject it into someone, you are giving them the measles on purpose, okay? Every time anyone has ever gotten an MMR, the point has been for that person to develop a measles infection on purpose. But the vaccine mythology is that, or should I say the vaccine dogma, I don't know how to put it, but the idea is that the MMR, the vaccine strain, will be a milder version of the measles, and maybe you won't have any symptoms at all. You'll just be so immune. So we'll give you this mild infection with this live virus, and then you'll be super immune later. And that's like the theory behind live virus vaccines. Live virus vaccines can shed. You get injected with the vaccine, you can end up with a measles-like rash that is contagious, and then wondering why people keep getting the measles. So that is kind of some little cognitive dissonance that is happening. And how is it contagious? Through urine and fecal matter. How is there hygiene out there? So this is my second point. My grandpa always said, if only Samoa took as much pride in its bathrooms as Japan. Even at the government tourism building, when I showed up there, we showed up to take a tour of, the cultural stuff of Samoa, and I went to the bathroom and there was no toilet paper and no soap and no paper towels, and it looked like there had not been for like a while. And when I went to find someone to tell about it, they were kind of just like, oh, well, like, sorry, not like, oh, I'll go put toilet paper in there right now. There is not really so much of a culture of cleanliness and hygiene in the airport as well. This is the case. No soap. I think there was toilet paper in there, but no soap and no paper towels, like no way to actually wash your hands, no way to dry your hands. In Apia, in these more developed areas, like there is a McDonald's, and, we went to some people's houses and their houses were very nice. We also went to houses that were not like that, and houses that, were missing some walls. And there's just a wide difference in how much each person is probably able to keep on top of washing their hands. If we're injecting the population with a living virus that can shed through fecal matter, and then their bathrooms are not that great, and, I went to an island where I was walking around it and I saw an outhouse, and that was it. Like, there it is. Like, there's no sink, and like the outhouse is like the kind of outhouse from like a Western film, like it's just a little tiny, spot right there in the, on the ground, and it's got its little roof, and there it is. And that's the reality for a lot of Samoans. So you can see how disease would be much more contagious there because people aren't washing their hands so much. I put in my post, this is the recipe for disaster. Injecting people with a live virus, and these people don't have access all the time to the most excellent sanitation. This is gonna cause some problems. The third thing that I mentioned in my post was nutritional components. Hopefully we're all aware that measles is an illness associated with vitamin A deficiency. And if you have a vitamin A sufficiency, it is very difficult to catch the measles. If you have a deficiency of vitamin A, it's very easy to catch the measles, have it be a severe case, die from the measles. So vitamin A is a really key thing that any discussion of measles in Samoa must address. There are lots of ways to get vitamin A in your diet, but many of those are not common food sources in Samoa. In Samoa, diabetes is the second leading cause of death. Children still die of malnutrition out there. malnutrition is a big deal. If people are malnourished, it kind of doesn't matter what they get. Like, this is a big deal because it's the measles and we have a vaccine for it. But when the same kids are dying of dysentery, it's not a big deal, right? And dysentery epidemics, Samoa has always had dysentery epidemics and people die. But where's the dysentery vaccine? Well, I guess then we don't need to worry about it, right? So vitamin A deficiency out there is a problem that is contributing to the severity of the illness. That's what a lot of the people on the ground have been trying to address, is supplying families with the vitamin A that they need for their children to reduce complications and reduce mortality rates out there. The vitamin A treatment is from the World Health Organization. Like, you can read about it on PubMed, and this is legitimate. But many doctors are apparently not aware of that. The Prime Minister in Samoa has stated that the vaccine is the only cure for measles. When I read that, I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that, because vaccines are not a cure for anything. Vaccines are preventative, or they allege to be preventative. They are not medicine. They are preventative. So they're trying to treat the measles with this toxic injection. It cannot work, like, biologically, scientifically, that's impossible, but that's the mindset of the government right now, that the MMR is the only cure. Which brings me to technology and refrigeration. So maybe you have read about how they had to throw away the 26,000 vaccines that they intended to use in Samoa. They threw them out due to improper refrigeration. And for me, as soon as I read that, I was just like, duh, like, of course they did, like, obviously, because I don't know where they're finding all the refrigerators for these things. It's just a whole different world out there from here in the U.S. Improper refrigeration for even a short amount of time can really mess with anything at all out there, really. When we went out there, I went with my parents, and my dad left his laptop in the car for 2 hours. And when we came back, the battery had exploded. The whole computer was warped. It is hot and it is wet out there, and we went during the dry season. So this improper refrigeration thing is very real. Somebody else on Facebook had made a point that how do we think they discovered that all of these things had been improperly refrigerated? And he posited that perhaps this was discovered because people were having reactions to these toxic shots that were decomposing improperly in the hot and humid temperatures. And so basically his thought was it's probable that they didn't realize how improperly these things had been stored until they started seeing massive vaccine reactions in vaccine recipients. So I don't know if that is true, but when I read that, I thought that makes a lot of sense in a whole lot of ways. I have wondered how many of the deaths out there have been in children who were vaccinated with an improperly stored shot. And that's not something that I think they're going to ever let us know. The final thing that I talked about in my post was the need for serotyping and lab testing. Laboratories are capable of testing what strain of measles people come down with. And apparently some labs in Samoa have done that, but they are not releasing the information on what strain of the measles it is, which is very suspicious to me and to many others. If it was that horrible wild strain of measles, you'd think they'd be trumpeting it everywhere. But the fact that they're not, and the fact that they stopped lab testing after only 122 cases, when there have been, over 1,700 cases reported. RFK Jr., he wondered if this was either vaccine strain measles or possibly a kind of strain of the measles that the vaccine cannot even affect anyway. So there are a lot of questions that I think the Samoan government needs to answer about this. What strain of the measles are we dealing with? Because if this is vaccine strain measles, then maybe we need to have more talks about the efficacy of injecting everybody with vaccine strain measles. These people need vitamins and sanitation and hand washing encouragement, not toxic shots. We need to be doing the lab tests to confirm if this is or is not the vaccine strain of measles. If it is the vaccine strain, maybe someone should rethink force vaccinating the entire population of Samoa. The reality of the Samoan situation is not anything similar to an American lifestyle. Many people live in open-air fales and have no outhouse, and that's the reality for a large swath of Samoa. When I was leaving Samoa, my grandpa pulled me aside and he said, "Allie, I feel so sorry for you." And I said, "Why? Why do you feel sorry? I just had the time of my life." And he said, "I'm sorry for you because now for the rest of your life you will bear the responsibility of sharing with people what Samoa is really like. And no one can ever understand what Samoa is really like until they have been there."